Alright, starting off we have... Hold up, I think my piece is here. Shoot. Stress positions. When it comes to torture, nothing beats good old-fashioned pain. This pain is usually dealt out personally by the torturer. However, torturing people can get exhausting, so techniques are used to give the torturer a little break. That's where stress positions come in. Stress positions are painful ways to arrange someone's body so that they are stuck in pain. Think of it like doing a plank, but against your will and for much longer. Meanwhile, people watch until you break. So basically gym class. These stress positions sometimes led to permanent damage in the nerves, joints, and circulatory system. There was even a reported death of a detainee that had been stripped, chained to a wall, and left overnight. In the morning, when the officers returned to continue the torture, they found the deceased body. The autopsy found that the cause of death was hypothermia from being left bare on the very cold floor. So I guess technically that could be used as an excuse to get out of gym class, but don't count on it. Sleep deprivation. If you like to stay awake until your eyes feel like fried eggs or till the crack of dawn, don't worry, you're not alone. But usually that sleep eventually catches back up to you and you end up falling asleep eventually. Well, imagine after pulling that all-nighter you begin to doze off into the ethereal realm of sleep, only to be jerked back into consciousness by blaring alarms and flashing lights. This was the technique used by the CIA to get information out of detainees. Sometimes these sounds were played for 24 hours a day on loop. Yeah, good luck trying to get that sound out of your head. Meanwhile, cells were also reportedly kept deliberately cold to prevent detainees from falling asleep. The agency was reportedly allowed to keep the detainees awake for up to 180 hours, which is about a week. I just find it hard to imagine how they can get information out of them after about day 5. Now talk! The CIA justified sleep deprivation by saying it focuses the detainee's attention on his current situation rather than ideological goals, which happened to crack a bunch of individuals, so maybe there's merit. Waterboarding. This isn't some new water sport that your uncle just happened to get into while going through a divorce. This is a severe torture method used to simulate drowning and induce panic. Easy mistake, I know. The detainee is usually strapped down on their back and tilted on a board so that their feet are angled above their head. A cloth is then placed over the face of the detainee such that their mouth and nose are covered. Water is then poured continuously over the cloth, which prevents breathing. Waterboarding can cause extreme pain due to damage to the lungs and even brain damage from oxygen deprivation. Normally, water is poured intermittently to prevent death. However, if the water is poured uninterruptedly, it will lead to death by asphyxia. During these interrogations, some detainees were subject to waterboarding up to 180 times. But again, how could they get this information in settings like these? I can imagine it's hard to get confessions when you have situations like, "Now talk!" Get the other bucket. Confinement box. Have you ever had to squeeze past someone in the aisle of a grocery store? If you have, you may feel a tiny sense of uneasiness as you get closer and closer to them. As you pass by them, the walls of the aisle seem to hug you as you make unnerving eye contact with them. If this is you, you might want to get checked out. You may have a mild form of claustrophobia, and maybe a little social anxiety. But anyways, that same feeling from the aisles of the grocery store is what the confinement box tries and accomplishes in replicating. Victims of the confinement box are put inside for long periods of time. Inside the box, detainees struggle to move and adjust their bodies. They are unable to sit up as the box is too short, and trying to curl yourself up wouldn't work either as the box is too cramped. Breathing also becomes difficult as your lungs are pressed against your thighs. The detainees were cuffed and chained in an upward fetal position and left in the box for hours. The pain was so great that some detainees reportedly screamed unconsciously. Rectal rehydration. Yeah, get your sphincters ready for this one. Rectal rehydration is the process of injecting water into the, well, you know. This was of course done without the determination of a medical need. This was accompanied by the process of rectal feeding, which is also exactly what it sounds like. At one point, the detainee's lunch tray was pureed and rectally infused using, quote, "the largest tube we had." Now, rectal feeding isn't really a good way to keep someone alive or administer nutrients. This is because the rectum and colon cannot absorb much besides glucose, salts, and a few minerals and vitamins. The risk of rectal feeding and rehydration include damage to the rectum and colon. Other symptoms of this procedure are triggering bowels to empty, food rotting inside the recipient's digestive tract, and an inflamed or prolapsed rectum from careless insertion of the feeding tube. And most times, this was done by force, so there was a high risk for damage. If this wasn't deranged enough, an unnamed interrogator said the procedure helped to clear a person's head. Now talk. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Stay cool and peace out.